If you've ever looked at your romantic relationships and thought, why does this keep happening to me? This video is going to answer that question. And the answer just might surprise you because the patterns showing up in your relationships right now didn't start with your relationships, they started in your childhood home. Most of us don't realize that we're repeating patterns. We think every relationship is a fresh start, a new person, a new chance, but we bring ourselves into every relationship that we enter. And if nobody ever helped us to heal from what happened to us growing up, we bring that too. So here are the signs that your childhood patterns are showing up in your love life right now. Sign 1. You feel more comfortable when things are uncertain. Healthy, stable love feels boring to you or suspicious. When someone is consistently kind and available, something inside you pulls back. But when things are unpredictable, when you're not quite sure where you stand, you feel more alive, more invested, more in it. That's not chemistry, that's your nervous system recognizing the emotional environment that you grew up in. Sign 2. You work harder than your partner to keep the relationship together. You're the one initiating, the one apologizing, the one making sure that everything is a-okay, the one holding it together while they just coast along. And now you're exhausted because you just can't seem to stop because stopping feels like failing. You learned early on that love was your responsibility to maintain. That if something wasn't working, it was because you didn't try hard enough. Sign 3. You shrink yourself to keep the peace. You don't say what you really think. You agree even when you don't. You laugh things off that actually hurt you. And you make yourself quieter, smaller, easier because somewhere along the way, you learned that being fully yourself was too much, that you had to edit yourself to be loved. Sign 4. You apologize even when you've done nothing wrong. Someone is upset, and your first instinct is to apologize, not because you caused it, but because someone else's discomfort feels like your fault. Because you learned that when the people around you were unhappy, it meant that you had failed somehow. Sign 5. You confuse intensity with intimacy. The relationships that feel the most real to you are the ones that feel the most dramatic. The highs are high and the lows are devastating. And the calm relationships, the one where someone is just consistently good to you, they feel flat, unexciting, like something is missing. What's missing is the chaos, and your nervous system was trained to read chaos as connection. Sign 6. You stay silent about your needs until you can't anymore. You don't ask for what you need, you wait, and you hope that they'll notice, and you tell yourself that you don't want to be a burden until the need becomes so big that you either explode or you completely shut down, and then you feel guilty for both. You learned that having needs was inconvenient, so you buried them, and now they surface in ways that feel out of control. Sign 7. You attract the same kind of person over and over and over. Different face, different name. Same dynamic, same feeling, same disappointment. Because you're not choosing with your conscious mind. You're choosing with your nervous system, and your nervous system keeps selecting what it knows, what it was calibrated to choose, until you do the work to recalibrate it. I recognize every single pattern in my own story. That moment when I realized that I wasn't just unlucky in love, I was unconsciously recreating what I knew. That was one of the most painful and freeing realizations of my life. Painful because it meant looking at things that I had spent years avoiding, and freeing because it meant that the pattern could finally change. And this is the kind of pattern that's hard to recognize in the moment, which is why I created something specifically to help. If you're someone who says yes when you mean no, who struggles to speak up because you don't want to disappoint anyone, who overthinks every interaction and ends up blaming yourself when something goes wrong, the People Pleaser's Emotional Reset Guide was made just for you. It walks you through how to slow down, how to recognize what you're actually feeling, and come back to yourself instead of abandoning yourself the way that you were taught to. It's completely free and the link is in the description. So now that you have this information, what do you actually do with it? The first step is compassion. Be compassionate before it change. Before you try to fix anything, before you make any decision about your relationship or your patterns, sit with the recognition that you learned these patterns for a reason. They kept you safe and they made sense in the environment that you grew up in. You're not broken, you are someone who adapted, and that adaptation can be unlearned. The second step is slowing down the automatic responses, the automatic apology, the automatic shrinking, the automatic yes. These responses happen fast because they're deeply wired inside us. The work is in the pause. In that fraction of a second before you respond automatically, can you catch it? Can you notice what is happening? Can you notice what is happening? Can you catch it? The noticing is where the change begins. The third step is choosing differently in small moments. You don't have to overhaul your entire relationship or your entire life overnight. You just have to make one different choice. Express one need, hold one boundary, stay with one uncomfortable feeling instead of being tempted to smooth it over. Small moments of choosing yourself add up to an entirely different life over time. The fourth step is getting support. These patterns run deep. They were formed in childhood and they've been reinforced for years. Trying to unravel them completely by yourself is hard. There's therapy, community, and resources that can help you to understand your nervous system. These things really matter and there's no shame in needing them. If you've ever been in a conversation where you try to express a need or set a boundary and you just go completely blank, you freeze, you can't find the words, and you end up apologizing instead of saying how you actually feel, that's called the freeze response, and it's one of the biggest barriers to breaking this pattern. I created the freeze response recovery kit specifically for that moment. It has word-for-word scripts for when your mind goes blank, in your relationships, with your family, and at work, so you never have to walk away wishing that you had said something again. The link is in the description. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. The patterns that you're repeating in love are not your fault. They were handed to you before you were even old enough to know that you had a choice. You have a choice now. Not a perfect choice, not an easy one, but you have a real one. And every time you recognize the pattern, you take away a little bit of its power. Every time you choose differently, even a small moment, you are rewriting something that was written for you without your consent. And that work is not small. It's some of the most important work that a person can do. And if you're already doing it, you're already doing it by being here. If this video resonated with you, the next one you should watch is about how to stop people pleasing in your romantic relationships. Because recognizing the pattern is the first step, and knowing what to do about it is the next one. That video is linked right here. Subscribe for weekly videos on healing from toxic relationship patterns and people pleasing. Comment below which of these signs hit the closest to home for you. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.